Very special guest for today's podcast. We've got Zac Twardowski in the house. Thank you for joining us in for Playbook Podcast number 5. How's it feel being the headquarters?
Number 5. That's a good number. I like that. It feels great, man. We had 120, 130 people here. Your family was here. Sean was here. It was. I think it's cool to see your kids being around the business as much as they are, and I have younger kids than you, so getting to watch family be around and how you're introducing your kids to business is cool for me to see. You know, I know I've taught you a couple things in business. You've taught me a few things, but I'm going to watch your kids and your son come up and go, "Oh, I can tell you're a closer." I'm like, "You're right."
I heard about that.
Yeah. So, Mahmoud's like, "What do you think? Is he a closer or not?" And I'm like,
"Oh yeah, he's a closer."
I'm like, "Yeah," but he's like, "I'm going to run the company one day." I'm like, "Sounds good to me, dude. It's a lot of work sometimes. You can take over for me." So.
And it's crazy, man.
Good.
Like the other day, we're in Dominican Republic, and my kids are having like a full-out fight in the room. I'm like, "What the heck is going on in here?"
Yeah.
They're fighting over who's going to be the youngest MVP in family first life history. I'm like,
great.
other kids are fighting about the tablet, fighting about toys. My kids are fighting about who's going to be the youngest MVP.
Yeah.
It just shows you, man, how big of a part of like the business being a place where you can bring your family to the business and you don't have to like essentially work against them.
We were talking about that the other day. I put that out in our weekly thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey, it's not like there's no work-life balance really.
Soccer
when you
practice.
get to a certain level, I was sitting there because I forgot to do our newsletter, and we're watching my daughter's soccer practice, which is not really soccer. They're 2.5, so it's like
running around,
disorganized chaos. It's not even organized chaos, just disorganized chaos. But I'm sitting there typing it out. I'm like, there's no work-life balance. Like I'm watching her. This is amazing. I'm typing this thing out, and it's the work-life harmony. It's like we do it all together. It's all the same thing. Like my wife's been around the business. Your wife's been around the business. My kids are gonna grow up in the business, and it's not like how do you be really balanced. It's how do you set aside time and do it all kind of together. And I like the example that you're setting for your kids, because I always thought, I'm like, I want to buy back so much time that I can spend all this time with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I have kids, I'm like, I think you want to buy back time where you can not be stressed out and you can bring them around the business and teach them the right principles and stuff. Not necessarily like not work, but like work with them and be able to slow down and teach them stuff, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like a lot of people think like they should sacrifice work for their kids, but like I remember when I first started, that was one of the many questions I asked you. It's like, how do I not completely ditch off my family?
Yeah.
And you asked me something, it was like, do you remember anything before you were the age of 8?
Yeah.
And I said no, but like if you really think about it, and then you told me something after that I'll never forget. You said, but you will remember growing up broke if you were the child, you know? So like that's the thing. Many people miss that part in business where like, hey, like when your kids are young, like that's the time to start grinding, because like it's either now or never. And do you feel that too when it comes to the kids?
Yeah, and I think spending time with young kids is more for you than it is for them, I think.
Yeah.
And I believe that you and I and everyone should be able to spend time with your kids, but you earn that time if you put in the work in advance. And if you have to make the decision between, like you said, your kids growing up broke or spending time with them, like you choose, you know, you got to go to work. It's not going to grow up broke. But now what I love is it's not quantity time, it's quality time for me. So when I get home, like I always try to get home by 6 o'clock, and I spend from 6 to 8 with my kids. And then I put my phone down. I'm not on it. I hang out with them. And then when 8 o'clock comes around, I put them to bed. I finish work for a couple hours. Yeah. You know, I'm like, well, I can do that because I've built my life to where I can take a 2-hour gap where I'd normally be working and just move it to the end of my day. I work from 8 to 10 now. So why can't I finish up stuff and call people back then, you know?
That was one of the biggest things I learned from you, is about that like hour and a half time frame.
Yeah.
Where I do that now for when I get home from dinner. My family knows my phone goes upstairs on the dresser. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But like that 1 hour and a half, that 90 minutes, like it can impact like a whole day's worth of time, because the biggest thing that I learned from you was the intentionality behind the time.
Yeah.
So like that was a game changer. And I think like honestly, out of all of the things that I've learned from you, learning how to become intentional with every second, every day, like that's been the biggest game changer in my personal life, my business. Why was that so important for you early on?
I remember watching people like Sean and other successful people go through life and like always were in control of everything that was going on. Like I remember traveling with Sean. It was like, all right, there we take off at this time, we land, there's a car ready, there's a meal in the car, we go to a meeting, we leave the meeting, like we're going to another meeting, then there's another meal already ready, and it was just so much more intentional than my time. Like if it was me, I would have been able to do one of those meetings a day that we did 3 of. And I started thinking about how much time I was wasting, and I felt like I was always reacting to everything. Like things would come up, I'd answer my phone, I'd deal with problems, and we deal with that. But I learned if you can have set things in your schedule, like I was talking to one of your guys out there, he's like, how do you balance stuff with your wife? I'm like, to our point earlier, it's quality time, not quantity time.
Yeah.
Like, can you book an hour and a half once a week to go to dinner with her? Like she's just going to be happy knowing that you're thinking about going to dinner with her once a week. You know, it's not like you have to hang out all day every day. She doesn't want that either, you know? So I just learned to book things in my calendar very specifically. And like you said, that hour and a half I spend with my kids, or 2 hours I spend with my kids every day, that's way better than me spending 8 hours but being on my phone and being distracted, have the TV on, where I can unplug, spend time with them, be present with them is much more impactful. And so I watch other people who are successful only do things that either made them money or that they wanted to do, and then to be completely present with whatever they're doing. And I think it's hard when you have such access on your phone to like, oh, I could sit there and scroll Instagram, I could respond to emails, I could respond to texts all day long. But if you can just be super present, that makes that time more valuable, and you can just be 100% committed to whatever you're doing. And I wanted to feel like whenever I was with my family, I should be with my family. Whenever I was working, I should be working. I didn't want to feel like when I was working, I should be with my family, and vice versa. So I was like, I'll just have my schedule so planned out that whatever I'm doing, I'm completely in the moment at that time.
And then I know, like, in the early days, I would always talk to you about, you know, my time is getting smoked. I'm in the office all night. Like, I'm not able to come home early. And you would always say something like, it's only temporary, it's only temporary. Yeah. So anytime I had a bad day, like, that's what went off in my head. It was your voice telling me it's only temporary. But, like, people don't understand, like, it's like that now, but it wasn't like that in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and there was times where so once you have more money, you can buy time back because you can hire employees, staff, and you can get other people to do things for you that you don't want to do. But until you have money, you have to spend the time doing that stuff. And luckily in our business, you can make so much money selling insurance and start to build up overrides that you can quickly have enough money to where you can hire staff to handle things, hire an executive assistant, hire someone to edit your videos and do contracting and come wash your car and do your laundry and all the things you don't want to do. But in the beginning, you have to do all that stuff, plus you have to do all the work stuff until you have enough money to do it, right? Yeah. So I think that the goal for everyone watching this should be like, how quickly can you get through the time where you have a lot of time and no money, and shift it to where you have a lot of money and no time, and then buy back time to where if you're not selling insurance, if you're not recruiting people, and if you're not training people, that you're not doing anything in that realm. And for me, it's like I want to spend all my time in those three things, and if I'm not doing those three things, I'm spending time with my family. Yeah. You know, and you get to earn that once you have enough money to do it. And it's not like you have to do it for 2 years. It's like you do it until you have enough money to be able to buy your time back, and then you get your time back. Yeah,
it's like it's only temporary, you know. Now that I look back at it, all of that stuff.
It seems short,
beginning,
too.
It was only temporary. It's like, dang, that was, you know, a year ago. Like,
yeah, it was like 6 months for you, right? And for
now
me, it was
I can get
2
home for
years.
dinner.
Yeah, I had to go through it for longer because I didn't make money as quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and I just didn't see what the other side looked like. And I tried to articulate that, like, hey, if you do this quickly and you hire these people right now, you'll buy that time back like tomorrow.
And not just like you said, like it took me longer. I couldn't do it that quicker. And like that's the biggest thing that you've had on our, you know, group as a whole, our agency is the impact of that echo and the power of that echo. Like you said, like what took you 3 years, I think you said at Founders Day, took us 1 year.
Yeah.
But like if the leadership is continuing to pass down that echo correctly and properly and effectively, you know, it's just getting easier for the next guy at this point.
Yeah, and I think the way you can do that is if you pay attention to the people on your team who are actually doing the work that deserve the time. Because we had 800 this month, through 2 weeks of this month, we've had 750 people write a piece of business so far. So if I tried to teach each 700, like every single person out of that 750, everything I know, it'd be impossible time-wise. But if you get really good at paying attention to the people who are doing the most work, and not like what the leaderboard says, but who's actually working, who the real leader is in the group, then I can find people like you, spend time with you, spend an hour or two a couple times a week, and like give you that information so that you can replicate it faster. And I can just go, okay, I learned this from Sean when this happened. I learned this from John when this happened. I learned this from this mentor. And I can just let you skip all the 6 months of me suffering and put it into an hour conversation that you can implement right away. But I think the reason it's hard sometimes is if you do that with everyone, then it'll be a waste of your time because not everyone will implement it. So you have to get good as like a mentor, figuring out people who, okay, this person will do it, this person won't do it. Like, let me spend time with him and not with this other guy. Even though this one seems like the right person, like the results tell us the other guy's the right person.
And now I know, like, last month we finished at 11 million a month.
Yeah.
11, right?
Yep.
Did you ever think that this would get that big when you first started 5 years ago?
Not when I first started, no. And it's been seven, almost 8 years now. When I first started, people that were doing 150,000 a month as a team that had 10, 15, 20 agents, like that was big.
Yeah.
It was really big. And things have changed so much now to where it's more scalable now. But I also think it's like the same concept of, the first person that broke the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
It's like no one thought you could ever do it. And then some guy, I can't remember his name, but some guy broke it on like a rainy day in England one time. Yeah. And then right after he broke it, that barrier, then like 10 more people broke it like 3 months later. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the same thing. It's, you don't see how big it can be, and then it gets big, and then you're like, oh, I could do 11 million. Like next year I'll be doing $11 million a month, right? Because you've seen someone blaze that path for you, and you're like, yeah, I can do that if he did it. So I think I didn't see it then, but now I see it. I can see the path to 20, 30, $40 million a month, because I see what Sean's done to get to those numbers too.
And do you think all of that comes back from, like, I always say, like, my success comes from others believing in me, because most people don't think that they can get to the level that you're at or where I'm at, but it's simple belief coming from other people. Was Sean a big part of that vision, kind of instilling that inside of you?
Yeah, I think what I learned from him was to believe in myself more too. Like he got me to be more confident that I was smarter than I thought I was, that I was more capable than I thought I was, and that I was a better leader. Yeah. Because I didn't see myself as a leader. I didn't see myself as, like a business person for a long time. But he saw that, and he got me to see it in myself, and then now I believe it. Yeah. And then I can do the same thing for you. And, like, you already saw yourself as a business person, but I can talk to you about, like, hey, you can be a leader. You can help mold people. You can do these things for people that you probably didn't realize. Like, you could be that positive of a mentor in people's lives. Maybe you did believe that, but I think now you see it even more clearly, the impact you can have on financially, but also the way people live their life, the principles they live by, that sort of thing. And
I think the biggest thing that you and I resemble is, like, we both have that. Probably before this business kind of like shaped us into the people we are now, we had that personality. Previously, I had that personality where it's like, I would describe myself as, you ever went to the beach and saw like those souvenirs they sell, like those glass bottles with the sand and with the cork on it? Yeah. Like, I'm a closed bottle. Like, you won't get anything out of me. It's just like, that was my personality. It's like my guard is up all the time. If you see my teeth, like, I might be trying to kill you or something. Like, that's about it. But like, I think the biggest thing that you and I resembled is we both came from that type of, maybe the way we were raised or whatever it was, but like, that just shows you that, like, business-wise, like, it helps you kind of like turn into that leader you are from different people passing down different information.
Yeah, and I think you try to gravitate towards people that are similar to you, that remind you of yourself, and you go, okay, what can I learn from this person and how they. Because I'm very different than Sean was, and he's like, man, I wish you would spike the ball sometimes. And I'm like, dude, I'd rather just hand it to the ref and walk back to the sideline. That's how I was raised. Now you have to figure out how to advocate for yourself and promote your business. And so I've learned how to be able to do a lot of the positive things of that with it still being my style, And I think that's part of how you grow as a person is you go, okay, I'm going to take my mentor's advice, but I'm not going to be exactly them. I'm going to do my own version of that. Like, I'm gonna accomplish the goal they want me to accomplish, but I can't say something the exact same way that Sean says something. It would be weird. We have different tonalities, we have different personalities. Like, I speak differently than he does. So if I tried to be him, it'd be disingenuous. Same thing with you and me. Like, we're not the same person. Yeah. But you can go, okay, like, I see what he did here, and I'm gonna try to accomplish the same thing, even my method are slightly different than his are.
Pretty damn close, I would say, though,
pretty close. Yeah, much closer than me and Sean, or you and Sean.
I sent you that video the other day, and I was like, your clone, right? Yeah. Because it reminded me, and I don't know if you heard my guy say the story that Ronnie loves getting his car washed. Yeah. Because I used to love detailing my car. That was my thing, And it reminded me of, like, a conversation that I had with you, like, right when my team was around 300, 400. I was like, hey, man, like, I'm getting really busy. Like, I'm doing stuff on Sunday that I shouldn't be doing because I should be spending it with my family. Yeah. And you were like, dude, just start getting your car washed. Yeah. Stop doing it. And I was like, it's like $200 a week. I was like, that's a lot of money. I never spent $25, $30 on a car wash. Mm-hmm. And you're like, it's just a policy, just a policy.
Yeah, it's not even. It's a children's policy. Yeah. And I always looked at it that way. It's like, okay, like, is it if I was selling during that. If you just sold a policy during that hour you spent doing the car, you make $1,000, right? Yeah. So, like, you getting a car wash costs you $800. Yeah. If it's $200. Yeah. Like, if you're the one that does it. Now, if you pay someone to do it, then you still make $800. Your time's worth it, or your family's worth the $200 you spend on it. And the more intentional you can be with your time, I think that's how you get some balance. And it's not, you're never going to be super balanced when you're an entrepreneur, but it's how you get some balance, some harmony with your family, and are able to keep it together. Because really driven people have a hard time, you know, slowing down and smelling the roses, right?
Yeah.
Like we get to these next levels, like we hit that 10 million mark. I was like, okay, cool, we'll celebrate for 10 seconds, next goal.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing in our personal lives. We're like, you're like, our wives are, and yours is probably like, you've hit goals now that you said would make you happy in the past.
Yeah. It's like, what's next? Like,
Yeah,
how much longer?
Like you've already accomplished things that
Yeah.
you said would make you happy,
Yeah.
you know, and you're not happy. And that's just how we're driven. So I think it's important to have those guardrails and schedule stuff with your family so you slow down, enjoy time with them, and are not just always going next. Because that's part of our personality.
And I remember that day. It's like the first day I got someone to wash my car, it did sell a policy. Like, that was the funny part.
Yeah.
And then the joke in the office was when my guys were speaking, they're like, oh, now he gets his car washed 3 times a week.
Yeah.
It's not true. It was like twice this week because of the grand opening.
Good grand opening, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's like the question that people don't think is like, you helped me switch that mindset. I used to think like, okay, how much is that person going to charge me?
Yeah.
But now the question I get is like, how much is it going to cost me?
Yeah.
When did you start thinking like that, and where did that come from?
I think I always kind of had that mindset of I wanted other people to I wanted to outsource as much as possible.
Yeah.
If it wasn't generating income. Like I hired my first staff that was paying $4,000 a month when I had like $5,000 a month in my bank account. So I think I just always for some reason understood that there was certain things that I was good at and certain things I was not good at.
Yeah.
And that I needed people to be there to like have my blind spots to organization, travel, like that kind of stuff that I was disorganized with. I needed someone there for that. And I think as I saw it work and make me more productive, it made me more productive because I spend more time, but mentally I wasn't as all over the place too. Because if you're thinking about 30 different things, even if I'm having a conversation with you, but I'm thinking about all these other things I need to do, like my conversation with you is not as good because my brain's somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I realized how much more clear my mind was when I had people take over the things that I wasn't good at or didn't need to be doing. And I think it just kept compounding. So every time it worked, I was like, oh, okay, now I can add something else. And then I started justifying it by, okay, if I hire someone to help with recruiting, like how many people do we need to hire and how much volume does that person need to generate to justify their income? Yeah. You know, and I started being able to tie it to revenue and justify it. And I'd be like, oh, like if she hired 2 agents, they each do $10,000 a month, or each do $20,000 total, 40, and she makes $4,000 a month, I make 10%. If she hires 2 agents to sell $20,000, like her salary is paid for forever by 2 agents. Yeah. You know, and I think my brain just started looking at everything that way and going, okay, how quickly can I break even on this expense, and then how much extra revenue is it going to generate for the business?
Yeah, and that's been huge, honestly, just for like instilling that, and you know, leaders like myself on the team, and then the many others is like, most people, they think that they can do everything on their own. They think that they're not big enough to have staff. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, now, you know, you're running a team that's going to be doing well over $100 million this year.
Yeah.
Multiple people on staff. It's like, the bigger that you get, the more staff that you hire. And, like, making that shift, I think, is kind of the challenging part. You know, and I remember you would always say, like, hey, find out what this person's the best at and keep them in that pocket.
Yeah.
That's all it is, you know, like people don't know how to keep that structure, that organization, and they can't get to the next level.
The other thing is, like, a lot of people want to like wait till they get to a point where they're big enough to have staff. Yeah. But I always looked at it like, I'm like, you're not going to get big enough to have staff without staff. Yeah. You know? So it's like, it's one of those things where people are like, I want to wait till I'm doing XYZ volume before I get a staff person. And I'm like, dude, you need the staff person to get to that volume. And so people are always like, well, what are they going to do? I'm like, okay, why don't you do this for a week? Write down everything outside of, if it's not recruiting, selling, or training, write down everything you do for the week. Have them do those things. Okay. And then what other things could a staff person do to allow you to recruit, train, and sell more people? Okay, then add those things. And if you can't figure out 40 hours a week of things with that, then you should just admit that you don't want to build a business. You just want to sell insurance. Yeah. You know, because that should be very easy to come up with 40 hours a week of things that could either help you do more of those 3 things, or have a staff person that funnels you more recruits, helps you set more appointments, gets you referral, whatever they need to do that generates more income for the business. If you're thinking about the business and obsessed with it, it'll be easy to figure out what those things would be. And
to put that stuff into play, because if you're just thinking about it and there's nobody behind you to enforce, like, it's just a thought at the end of the day. And like, now that I look at it, like somebody asked a question earlier in the office, they're like, what was the hardest part of the business for you? You guys are making it look easy now.
Yeah.
So getting to $300,000 a month was 10 times harder than going from $1 to $2 million a month. Mm-hmm. Like what took us, the first million took 11 months, and then the second million took 4 months.
Yeah.
Like that just tells you, but whenever that systems, the right people are in place, like this thing just takes off, which obviously, like, imagine if I was sitting on this side, the chair, like, in your perspective, it's just insane. Like, what does that feeling feel like now that you see, like, everything we look back at from the past 7 years?
I think what I've noticed and what I've gotten better at is, like you said, when you have good people in place and good systems in place, you can get out of the way and let people grow. And where I struggled before was I would want to do everything for everyone all the time. I'd want to never let anyone fall down. I would like handle everyone with kid gloves. And the best blessing for me in business was I didn't have an upline that was very involved. And so I had to figure everything out, and it gave me a lot of confidence. But I was like robbing people of that because I wasn't allowing people to go through and struggle. So what I learned was like, all right, if you have good leaders, put them in a position to succeed or fail. Let them succeed or fail. If they fail, it's okay. Like, failure is a super necessary part of business. And I think people look at failure like, oh, I don't want to screw up. And I'm like, dude, if you do something, anything in business, it either worked and you should do it again, or it didn't work and you can learn from it. And it only negatively affects you if you let it emotionally weigh you down, you know? And so I was like, okay, let me let people that I think should be leaders go through some failures and then come to me with, hey, this did not work. What can we do to fix it next time? And either I know the answer because I've been through it, or we can find someone that's been through it, you know? And so I say that all to say, like, I've gotten good at, you know, pointing people in the right direction, giving them advice from things I've been to, finding them the right answers if I don't have it, and then getting out of their way and let them be creative and do the bit. Like, I've let you do the business exactly the way you want to do it. I've never stepped on your toes. I've just been there for you to bounce ideas off of. And once I learned that, that's when we started exploding, instead of me trying to tell everyone exactly the way to do everything.
Yeah, and I remember, like, you would always tell me, like, hey, your job is to get out of their way.
Yeah.
Like, your job is to get out of their way, let them do their thing. If you need to step in, pick them up, but you can't be there in front of them to catch them. Like,
let them fail a little bit.
And that's how I learned the most, you know. I didn't listen to you. I didn't hire staff for 2-3 months. My team stayed at that level, and then the second that we did, we doubled in one quarter.
Yeah. And I didn't call you every day saying to get it. I waited for you to go, hey, I'm falling asleep every night at my I'm like, why don't you hire some staff, dude? And like stop being cheap. You know, and then I used examples with you and talked about money logically, and you're like, okay, sounds good, I'll do it. You know, but I'm the same way. And most people that are successful, fortunately or unfortunately, have to figure stuff out on your own. You get advice, you're like, that sounds dumb, I'm not going to try it, doesn't work. Okay, hey, can you give me that advice again? Okay, now it worked. You know, I did the same thing with Sean 100 times. He's like, don't do that. I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, okay, that was a bad idea.
Learn your lesson. Hey, I'm come back.
It's like the hot stove. Like your kids, you got to touch it. Okay, that really is hot. Dad said it's hot. It actually is hot. I'm not going to do that again.
So the biggest thing that I'm grateful for being led by you specifically is that the biggest thing that I've seen in this business is, like, so many people I looked at 2 years ago and thought they were humongous or big deal to the company is, like, they've become complacent because they've got addicted to the money. Like, the thing that I noticed about you and that stood out, and I'm so grateful for because it passed down to me and my group, is that you're addicted to the results, not the money. Why is that so important for you?
And I think for me, the result is, or even I think the process is what I'm addicted to. Like, I really enjoy the process of getting to see people come in, change their life, do better, and then see, like, what impact they can have on other people. I started falling in love with that. Like, and for me, like, money is just a way for me to have time to do whatever I want to do in my life. And I realized when I sold my business, I was like, okay, like, money doesn't make me happy at all. I was never more unhappy than right after I sold my business. But doing all the things I learned in business, and business is like a game to me. Like, business makes me happy. Money is just a scoreboard, you know? So I think I just fell in love with the process, and I fell in love with helping people get to where they want to get to in life. And then I'm competitive, so I want to win, but I fell in love with just, like, the daily grind of, like, having agents come in, help them learn how to sell, help them learn how to recruit. And me having people make 7 figures for the first time and having them be like, hey, like, you helped me in some way get here is a lot more fulfilling than me making 7 figures myself.
Any type of money.
You know, and to, I think your point, like, it just depends on what motivates you. Like, me, it's not like I mean, do what I don't need to drive a sport. I don't really want to drive. I'm not into car. Like, stuff like that doesn't do it for me. It's quality time with my family, experiences with my family, financial freedom, and then me being able to work when I want to work and be able to impact people is what motivates me. And I think people have to reflect and see what motivates them and how they want to live their life. But for me, that's what I've decided. That's how I want to live my life and the example I want to set for my kids.
And it's huge, man. Like, I remember being a new agent, you know, Zac Twardowski is the biggest thing in the agency. So it's like,
Yeah.
but you don't see it on social media. And that's like the humble perspective behind it. Like, I remember having to ask somebody what you drove because you don't see it out there.
Yeah.
And that just like, it really defines the type of leadership that you provide for the group. And like you saw, like the only person that got me to crack up there when I was introducing them was you. That just shows like how special, how meaningful you have been, you know. Even after 7 years, you continue to do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to end it with this because I know we've got a tremendous amount of goals. What does the next step look like for us?
Yeah. I think like my next immediate goal is I want to have 100 people make 7 figures in a year, which I think we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
I think we're on a way to be able to do that. So that's the next immediate goal. And then I think like it's funny, this business is more of an art than a science. So it's like I want as many people to be able to positively impact as many people as I have with you as I possibly can. You know, and for me, it makes me tear up too to see the way, like how proud your parents are, how proud your kids are, how proud your wife is. Your wife is like, hey, can I grab you for a second? And she's asked me questions about how she can get better recruiting. You know, like she's like so into the business. Like that is amazing for me because it's like your whole family is able to do something together, you know? And I want to have that same impact on as many people as possible. And I know that's not like a tangible goal, but it makes me tear up and choke up too when you tell me the story about how you worked 100 hours a week and never got to see your kids, and now you get to see them. And for me, that's more meaningful than money, you know. And I didn't know that it was meaningful for me until I had kids, until I had money. I'm like, oh, me be able to spend a Saturday with my daughter is way more meaningful
than anything.
Yeah. And to your point, like I woke up early this morning because I wanted to spend the night with my kids last night. I want to see them tomorrow morning. I flew in here in the morning and fly out at nighttime. And people are like, that's crazy. I'm like, maybe it is, but I can do that. And I can find flights that are expensive and do that because I want to be able to see my kids, you know, first thing when I wake up tomorrow morning.
Which is huge.
Know, and then that's the freedom is worth all the money in the world to me.
Yeah. Nothing can put a price on that.
And seeing like your family, the way they look at you and how proud your kids and wife are of you means more than any of the money in the world. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate everything you do for us, man. I promise you we're going to continue to carry your legacy, the Echo, and it's going to be stronger and better than ever for many, many years to come.
I believe it. Like I said, find talented people, get out of their way, and that's what we've done. So thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate you.